The time is 8 p.m.
VE2CRA utilizes a CTCSS tone of 100 Hz.
Good evening, Ottawa. This is VE3BIT, Victor Alpha 3, Bravo India Tango, your net controller for this evening's Capital City FM net. This net meets most Monday evenings at this time to pass traffic and make announcements of interest to area amateurs. The net uses VE2CRA, owned and operated by the Ottawa Amateur Radio Club, who also sponsors the net. This repeater requires a 100 Hz CTCSS tone for access. If you do not have 100 Hz CTCSS tone, listen and transmit on 146.94 MHz. Remember to let the repeater tail drop first. The club also operates IRLP node 2040 on this repeater. All amateurs are welcome to check into the net. Membership in the club is not a requirement. This is a controlled net, and all traffic should be passed through the net controller. This is VA3BIT, and my name is Arthur. Do we have any emergency or priority traffic? Nothing heard. Do we have any general traffic or announcements? Nothing heard. Do we have any mobile or portable check-ins, any low-power stations? Please come down. VA3GFY. Good evening, Sean. Net acknowledges VA3GFY. Do we have any further mobile or portable check-ins, any further low-power stations? Please come down.
VE3, Whiskey Echo Papa.
Okay, I believe I heard Victor Echo 3, Whiskey Echo Papa. I don't recognize the call. Can you give me your name, please?
My name is Mark. Mike Alpha Romeo Charlie.
Okay, Mark, welcome to the net. Did I get that right? Did I get your call right? Is it VE or VA?
You got my name right, correct. Thank you, sir.
Okay, I've got VE3WEP. Okay, thank you very much, Mark. All right, do we have any regular check-ins? Regular check-ins, please come down.
Oh, I guess I would be considered a regular check-in. VE3LC, good evening.
Yo, good evening.
Another regular check-in, Victor Echo 3, Golf Victor India, Sydney with 2 Y's. Hi, everybody.
VA3JPX, James in Canada. Good evening.
Victor Echo 3, Foxtrot, Kilo. Name is Mike.
Victor Alpha 3 at the Alpha Hotel. It's Alan and Ian.
Okay, well, I guess we can stop there for the moment anyways. Norm, yes, you're definitely a regular VE3LC. Thank you for checking in. Roger, you too. VE3NPO, VE3GVI, Sydney, VA3JPX, James, welcome to the net. Haven't heard you for a while. VE3FFK, Mike, and Alan. Let's see, VA3IAH. Did I get that correct, Alan?
Yeah, that's correct.
Okay. Any further check-ins? Doesn't have to be regular. I don't know why I said that. So please, any further check-ins? Anyone listening on the net tonight that's not a scanner that can check in, please come down.
Victor Echo 3, Zulu, Romeo Kilo. The name is Brian.
Victor Echo 3, Yankee Tango Zulu, and the name is Greg.
Okay, the net acknowledges VE3ZRK Brian and VE3YTZ Greg. Great stuff. Thanks, Greg, for checking in tonight. Any further check-ins? Please come now.
VE3BOW portable.
Okay, I guess that perhaps is it. VE3BOW, thanks very much for checking in, Dave. Portable, out for a walk this evening, Dave?
That's right. Just looking up into the sky and seeing that big half moon.
is gorgeous out there, that's for sure. Yeah, all right. Okay, well, I don't have it doesn't appear that anyone has any bulletins, and I don't have any particular topic for tonight, for this week. I was going to say that, in view of the fact that spring sprung a couple days ago, and it's been absolutely gorgeous, late spring weather, if anything. What have you been? How have you been making the best possible use of the gorgeous weather for amateur radio use? I guess that's the topic for this evening. Something very loose, and if you don't have anything that you'd like to contribute on that, perhaps you got something else you'd like to do. So, okay, I'll just a moment. So I'll start off by saying that, well, this was a fabulous weekend. I did a little bit of everything. Got on the bicycle. Well, I didn't do a little bit of everything. I didn't get on the motorcycle yet. I was a little leery of when I got on the bicycle and I saw lots of salt around, and so a bit leery about taking out the motorcycle. But that being said, I was out today. And I saw, well, of course, I live downtown, and I see all kinds of motorcycles around. If I don't see them, I hear them. Usually the Harleys and the sport bikes are the whining ones, and the Harleys are the loud ones, and the Goldwings, I never hear them at all, so I don't know how many Goldwings have gone by. And for those that aren't aware, I own a Goldwing, so I know how quiet they can be. Anyways, I'm thinking, well, maybe I'll just play hooky tomorrow afternoon and take out the bike anyways. Salt be damned. The roads do seem to be mostly clear, but normally I would wait until we've had some rain to wash the salt away. But maybe I'll make an exception for tomorrow. Anyways, okay, just a moment. So that's not really ham radio related, but this past weekend, let's see, there was a fox hunt. I apologize, Dave, VE2CRA, that I thought for sure that you were hiding the fox. I don't really know what went wrong, but the fox was a long ways from you, very much on the other side of town. Down at apparently at Wayne VE3CZO's QTH south of Hunt Club. So how could I possibly get that wrong? I don't know, but all I know is that when I was out after I had done the nets on Sunday, the pothole and the pot-lid nets, after I was finished with that, I pulled out the directional antenna, and it gave me the strongest signal from there, basically into the glebe, and I just followed it. That's all I can say. Anyways, that being said, the pothole nets and the pot-lid nets, I was operating portable at the Sir John Carling building, or the former site of the Sir John Carling building, close to Dow's Lake, and it was great. I actually got the courage up to get on the pot-lid net, and following which, Mike gave me sent me an email. Stand by. Yeah, Mike sent me an email saying that welcome me back to the pot-lid net after an extended absence, and said that my Morse code was actually better than it was before I left, for PEI, but I have a hard time believing that because I made all kinds of errors and all kinds of dip and whatnot. So I'm glad I got on, and I'm glad I got the courage to get on and all that, and but clearly have a long ways to go. But it was a good day, that's for sure. Great day for bicycling and ham radio. So I've spoken for quite a while now, and perhaps some of you have dredged up some memories of what you did over the weekend, ham radio wise, and you're willing to fill us all in with the details to share your experiences. Okay, and so first up on the list is Sean, VE3CRA. Do you have anything you'd like to tell the group this evening? Go ahead, John.
No, I'm good.
good there. All good. Yeah, no, I just wish they'd leave the repeater on more often. VE3GFY.
VE3GFY, VE3BIT. You know, I also feel the same way. I wish they would leave the repeater on more often as well. Next executive meeting, I'll ask about that. See what the plan is, because I don't know what the plan is. So thank you very much, Sean. Down to Mark, VE3WEP. Go ahead, Mark. Victor Echo 3, Whiskey Echo Papa, VE3WEP, or possibly I got your call wrong. It might be VA3WEP. Mark, are you still there?
I was on the telephone. I believe somebody was calling V3WEP. Go ahead.
Good evening, Mark. This is VE3BIT Net Control. I was on this net. We normally have a topic of discussion. Usually something that the Net Control can comes up with, and I really didn't have much of an idea, except that we had just had a beautiful weekend, and I was wondering if you had any did anything over the weekend that was amateur radio-wise that you'd like to share with the group. Go ahead.
No negative. I've been pretty quiet here doing renovations around the house, and I listen to the radio on and off, and I'd like to hear the repeater on more often. That would be my only complaint.
V3WEP, VA3BIT. Okay, well, that's two comments regarding the repeater so far. So I shall pass that on to the people that need to know. Okay, thank you very much, Mark. Norm, D3LC. Let's see, I know you were involved with the fox hunts over the weekend, and I do believe that you were probably involved in, I seem to recall you were involved in contacting some DX station, at least that's what I recall from Friday. And, I don't know, I'm sure that there was some kind of contest going on as well. And, so I'm sure you can fill us in. Share with us your experiences over the weekend, especially if you were outside doing something. Go ahead, Norm.
Yeah, okay, very good. Okay, well, good evening there, Arthur, and everybody, V3LC, and I must say that, yes, your CW was very good on the positive net on Sunday morning. Maybe mine wasn't so good. I have had a problem in all my life that I'm absolutely certain, but I've never been diagnosed this way, that I may need attention deficit disorder. In other words, my mind is in 1,000 places all at the same time. And although I probably wouldn't have it any other way because it makes life very interesting, it does create a little difficulty in making sure my mind is on what I'm doing without being distracted. And that applies to sending Morse code. Because, of course, it's a thing you have to concentrate on to make sure, not that you're just sending, but you're well ahead of yourself with respect to the words and the spelling and so on that you want to say. The same thing applies when I'm writing something or typing something, but which means I have to go back and correct. So the same applies. Anyway, I won't delve into that, but you sounded very good, and I'm sure you heard my chirpy signal from my 1950s Viking Ranger. Now, with respect to the fox hunt, I really wasn't participating at all. However, I thought it would be interesting to see if I could receive the signal from the home QDH here. Just a minute. Good. I guess I reset things. And so all I did was, because I do have a fairly long 15-element horizontally polarized beam up on the tower, I would connect a radio to that. And with some attenuators and so on, I got a fix or a heading, if you will. And then I verified that with certain sightings in the neighborhood to make sure that the accuracy of the indicator was, it was suspect. So I used these sightings and so on with the alignment of the long Yagi. And I got a bearing. I plotted this on Google Earth. I got a bearing of 218.7 degrees. And I extended that from my QDH way southwest, in the direction of 218.7 degrees. So I went out actually driving because we were going for a drive, and with a portable radio in the car and so on, and certainly, down around the airport and so on, I was getting it. But I was not prepared to zero in on the site at all because I wasn't by myself. And, I only periodically turned on the radio to hear the transmission because my wife was with me, and she would not have engaged at all in this sort of activities. Anyway, I came home, and I guess I plotted out, but it was towards the absolute end of the evening. I plotted out and let people know on Groups.io that I had taken this sighting in the direction. Well, yes, it was at, of course, Wayne's place, VE2CRA. And I plotted from my QDH to his QDH, and that turned out to be actually 219.21 degrees, okay? 219.21. And I had figured on 218.7. So there you go. I was pretty well on the mark. And if somebody else has the long antenna like I do, I am sure we could have done some triangulation and perhaps, zeroed right in on the site. So I talk too long, don't I? And one other thing you were asking about that I had mentioned about working something, perhaps a little exotic. Well, I managed 2 contacts with the Russian de-expedition team to Botswana, on 40 meters and 80 meters on FT8. Their call sign was A25 RU, Russia, I guess. So there you go. That was the only other major ham radio accomplishment over the weekend. Actually, on Saturday, we were down at the cottage checking things out. VE3LC, go ahead, Arthur.
VE3LC, VA3BIT. Well, it sounds like you had a full weekend regardless. Down at the cottage. I've heard you mention down at the cottage that expression many times. I'm just wondering, roughly speaking, where is the cottage?
Well, the cottage we have, or that I essentially built, I guess, years ago, starting in 1989, is down near Chafee's Locks. It's on a lake called Benson Lake. It's a 2-story structure, all garage on the bottom, and living accommodation up top. Essentially 1 bedroom, bathroom, kitchen, this sort of thing. So a very cubic type of dwelling. Nothing exotic and fancy. Although we have a 200-amp service, we can electric heat, well insulated, and so that's what we got. I don't know how much longer we'll keep it because things like this are a pain to have. VE3LC.
I would disagree with you there, Norm. Chafee's Locks is a gorgeous area. I love, that's one of my favorite places to go motorcycling. Maybe I'll go there tomorrow. 200-amp supply sounds quite sufficient, especially if it's enough to charge your vehicle, your electric car. And because I wouldn't want to go much further than Chafee's Locks without a charge, wouldn't you say?
Well, I'll tell you, the O'Pennington resort down there has EV charging. Those folks, of course, they're of the Shopify wealth. And so I've charged there. But I also have a outlet that I put in to take my 3.85 kilowatt charger, so I can bring up the car in, 4 or 5 hours with that. Go ahead.
Okay, well done. Well, lots of information there, Norm. Thank you very much. I did see your posting on Groups.io. I was very impressed with that laser beam pointed from your starting at your QTH and pointing down south. I didn't follow it far enough to know whether it went over top of Wayne's QTH or not, but it was certainly damn close. Very good. Yes, we just need someone else to collaborate with you, and triangulation would have been a piece of cake for sure. And as far as the pot lid net, I'm still at the stage where I can concentrate for about 30 seconds and catch most of the code, and then my mind drifts and boom, and then I and about 10 or 15 seconds later I say, oh my gosh, get back to the code again, and I can maybe concentrate for 20 seconds, and it kind of goes downhill after that. So that's one reason why I really do need to get my FL Digi working on my laptop. Connected to my ICOM 705. I tried to use CWGet, and guess what? It doesn't work. And apparently, the output from my ICOM 705 is not compatible with CWGet. Although maybe there's some workaround, I don't know. Anyway, CWGet, I did like it. I was using with my ICOM 703 and a Signal Link USB, and it was so easy to set up. Boom, 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 and it copied fairly well. So far, I haven't had that luck with my 705. I think I need to adjust the audio, the sound settings for Windows 10 before it'll work properly. Anyways, what I wanted to say as well is that I really appreciated. I didn't plan it this way, but I really appreciated following behind you on the net, because I didn't have to keep track of what everybody was saying, or even what Roger was saying. I just knew that I was after you. So that's all that matters. Good. Okay, and I'm going to ask for any further check-ins. Any further check-ins, please come now. Okay, nothing heard. Well, guess what? We're down to Roger, VE3NPO. Roger, I apologize for not getting up in time for your net. I actually was up this morning early. I had a nature call at about 20 after 6, and I thought, I may as well stay up for the maritime early morning net, which starts at 7:30 their time, but of course it's 6:30 here. And so I did that. I checked in for the first time in 3 weeks. First time since I got back from PEI, I checked in, and they were quite happy to hear me. I'm the only one that I know of that's calling in remote. I call in VY2BIT remote VE3, and my remote station is working just great for that kind of stuff. So that was good. And then I thought, I'll just have a snooze and until Roger's net goes on, and guess what? The snooze lasted for about 3 hours. So I apologize, but hopefully tomorrow I'll wake up early enough to get on your net. So have you got any words of wisdom for us, Roger? What were you up to this past weekend?
V3NPO on the assemble multitude. Good evening, all. Well, I guess weekend was I made a few contacts at the European contest, and then the Virginia QSL thing there, and then played a bit of HF there, did a few things, I guess, and I also hunted down there for this hidden fox, I guess, and on Sunday I got the wife, I had to twist her arm. This is not something that she wants to do, but in my situation I had her looking at the meter of the radio, and I swung the beam when that fox was transmitting, and I said, it's coming from the southwest, and anyhow, I had an idea from which direction approximately, and I had an idea it came from around Hunt Club and Maryville Road, but I guess I wasn't too far off. At the same time as I was trying to find this hidden transmitter, I guess Maurice Andre came on frequency, and then VE2CRA there, Adam, came on frequency, and they had a feeling it came from southwest the region. So anyhow, last time I even phoned VE3EJJ Ernie to see if he could hear it down at his end. I've done that, so, but I don't know if Ernie's got a beam or not, but with my beam, my wife said, oh, the signal seems to be strongest when the beam is pointing southwest, so there you go. Anyhow, that's about what I fooled around there on the weekend. I guess I took opportunity, this nice weather, went for a couple of walks, and just before net time, I went and done a 3-kilometer walk there down the Vanier Parkway and Beechwood, and so that's a good walk. And I did one this morning too, so there you go. And this morning the wife booked me there for this COVID vaccine, and gee whiz, after she was down on the phone and rubber booting it this morning, she came out and said, well, I didn't book where I was supposed to or not, or she said, well, there was 4 places I could have booked, City Hall, Overbrook, or Saint Laurent. And I said, okay, so where am I booked for? So she said, Orleans. So I said, we got a way to go over to Orleans to get a vaccine. So that's okay anyhow. It's just about a 10-15 minute drive. Anyhow, so that's about it. So that was my weekend. And starting to enjoy this nice weather, and for sure, we got to be taking longer walks. Anyhow, I don't want to time out there. Back to you there, Arthur, VE3NPO.
VE3NPO, VE3BIT. Oh, well done. Well done. And you were out for a walk, nice long walk today. That's really good. And this morning, for that matter. Very good. Very good. I'm impressed that both you and Norm managed to get decent bearings on that Fox signal. You know, where I was at near the Dow's Lake and the former site of the Sir John Carling building, it's not that far away from where Ernie's at. Ernie's QTH is, and I don't know. When I swung my beam around, my handheld, it's an Elkel logarithmic antenna. Beam is not the actual correct word to use, and it pointed. Oddly enough, it pointed in the direction of the glebe. So I was totally out to lunch on that. I clearly need to work on my DFing skills. But no, it definitely wasn't. Anyway, I wasn't. When I attempted to point it towards south, towards Hunt Club, forget it. No, I didn't hear anything. Now I was mystified, I'll admit, on Friday evening. So Friday I drove to. I had a nice long drive to Radio World on Friday. Left in the morning, came back at night, and as I came back about 11 p.m., I'm driving down. I decided to listen for the Fox, so I got off of the 416, got off the 416, and came down through this, basically the south part of Ottawa onto Prince of Wales, all the way down to Hogsback, and then onto Colonel Bay, and then into downtown. And not once, I couldn't hear the Fox at all. And then, so Saturday, I wasn't expecting anything great. I had some work to do. I had some catching up on work to do for most of the day. So in the afternoon, late afternoon, I hopped on my bicycle, headed over to Adam's place to pick up some stuff that he had borrowed last fall. And I listened for the Fox, and guess what? It started to come in around the University of, started to come in around Carleton University. So I thought for sure it was in the vicinity. And I mentioned that to Adam when I talked to him, but I guess perhaps he listened for the beacon as well later that evening and concluded it was in the south like you did. Anyways, I got work to do on that. And I did want to say something about the vaccine. I know what you're talking about, or at least what your wife had to go through. I don't know exactly what it's like here in Ontario, but I had to do something similar for my parents when I booked my mother's vaccine. It was not an easy process. There were like 4 pages. You had to say okay at the end of every 4 pages, and by the time I got through the 4th page, the location that I had chosen, which was the closest one, was no longer available. I did that 3 or 4 times before I finally frantically chose something. I recognized the name, and that was it. And luckily, it was only about 10 miles away, 15 kilometers away or thereabouts. But yep, they're fully vaccinated now. They've been, they've had their second shot 2 weeks ago, so they're fully protected at the moment. And my father got really lucky by getting a vaccination at the same time as my mother, even though I did not actually manage to book him an appointment. So good. And I'm glad that you're getting in there. Hopefully both you and your wife. All right. Enough about that. Down to Sydney, VE2CRA. GBI. Go ahead, Sydney. What have you been up to the last few days?
Hi, everybody. Hi, Arthur. Hi, everybody. Well, at the weekend, nothing special, nothing on amateur radio, really. But my ex-wife, Verna, VCSM, and myself got out for a walk on Sunday. There was beautiful weather. The first time we've actually been out for a walk since about, I suppose, late October. So that was great. And then today we went shopping as well out in Canada. It was this amazing sunshine, you know. Anyway, I've got a question here. It's not about a fox. It's about geese. Verna said to me, I haven't seen any geese all winter, have you? And I said, no, I haven't. Did they go south? She said. I said, I do not know. And then today I saw a little bee formation of about 6 to 10 geese flying here. So my question there for those who would know everything, which is things I don't know, is do all geese go south for the winter or only some? And how far south do they go? And it's not amateur radio, so I don't feel anybody has to answer it. Back to that.
VE2GBI, VE3BIT. Well, I can answer some of that. I don't know how far they go, but I do know that about 99% of them do migrate. The ones that don't have a steady supply of food and water and presumably someplace warm to shelter. I don't know, but there are flocks, small flocks along the Ottawa River that I know of. And in particular, there's flocks in Canada where they get, or where they have been fed in the past, prior to COVID, when employees would presumably feed them on the lawns of these high-tech corporations. And so those flocks, I do know that they're year-round. But for the most part, if they're really, all geese are wild, but if the truly wild ones, I do believe they migrate. But how far, I do not know. So we'll set that out. Does anybody listening know where geese will typically migrate to? Go ahead now.
Well, we know that they were Canadian over top of LaGuardia when Sully met them.
You have a point. I can't remember if that was winter or if that was some other time of year, but you do have a point. My feeling is they probably don't go any further than they need to. I get the impression that the geese are inherently lazy. Now, there are other birds that, what comes to mind, of course, is my father mentions it every year because he has remarked that in PEI, in Prince Edward Island, where they live, he has a bird feeder out for the hummingbirds. And he finds it remarkable that every year, within a day or two, the hummers leave around the 3rd of September. And researchers have determined that they fly long distances over water, and they're southern. Of course, there's many different species of hummingbirds, but typically they'll fly down to Florida, Texas, Mexico. So you can imagine it's a long way. So for tiny birds, I really don't know what it is for geese, but I'll look it up for you there, Sydney, and see if I can come up with something. Okay, we're down to James, VE2CRA. Still with us. Go ahead, James. Got anything to tell us about your exploits over the weekend?
Well, good evening, Arthur, and everybody on the net. This weekend, well, it was certainly really nice out. I didn't get to do some of the things that I wanted to do, which was to rake up some of the leaves from last fall out at the backyard and stuff. I wanted to get to that, but I never ended up doing so. But there is tomorrow, so it looks like we're going to have another nice day tomorrow. The weather's just been fantastic this weekend. Let's see here, about that DF direction finding thing this weekend. For everybody who's listening, I was getting it S4 after the antenna was swapped out, I believe Saturday evening. After that, before that I was getting no signal at all. I couldn't even hear it. After the antenna swap happened, it was S4 with a UHF antenna, believe it or not, in my attic. And that's just the antenna I had hooked up at the time. I didn't swap it out, nothing, so it was S4. And it remained that way for as long as I was listening. Couldn't listen to it for too long. People started whining at, what's that weird noise? Yeah, okay, whatever. So I turned the radio down. Boy, what can you do? Let's see here. Arthur, you said that you ride a Goldwing. I think you and I talked about this before, but I used to own a Yamaha Venture Royale, so I know how quiet things can be when you're riding, especially on a bike like that, And the Goldwings and the Ventures are, I think the Goldwings are a little bit quieter. The Ventures got a little bit more of a rumble in them, but I know what you're talking about in terms of quietness and whatnot. So, and yes, the motorbikes have been crazy active this weekend. Eagleson Road has been a drag strip for the last 3 nights in a row, and Hazeldean Road between Eagleson and the Trans-Canada pathway, or bike path, whatever you want to call it, has also been a drag strip. I'd like to see how many people got pulled over there. I'm sure it'll be quite interesting. Most of them are motorcycle riders, by the way, who are using these as drag strips. Back to you, Arthur. Great net. Thank you for being there this evening, and we look forward to future nets. VE3BIT from VA3JPX, James in Canada.
VA3JPX, VA3BIT. Well, thank you very much for participating, James. Thanks for checking in this week. Yeah, I had thought about Eagleson as being a drag strip, but of course, the bikers will find whatever they can use around where I am. Although I can't really see the Queensway because it's blocked by one building or another. In particular, the Museum of Science, the Museum of Nature, which is due south of me by one block. I can't actually see it, but I can sure hear them. I'm positive that they're bikers. You don't hear them very much in the winter, but I can hear them now. And I don't think these guys get pulled over. They are just, it's a natural raceway for them, and they got miles and miles to hit the throttle on and redline the bike. So yeah, they're out there. They're out there tonight, and it's become so common that I don't even hear them anymore. I have to think about it and say, oh yeah, that's right. They're out there. Yeah. Okay, very good, James. Thanks for checking in. I hope to hear you in the future. And I'll take another break here for anyone that wants to check in. Any further check-ins to tonight's net, please come down.
VE3 Charlie Zulu November, Carl.
VE3 Hotel Yankee Sierra.
good stuff. We've managed to attract a couple of people. Maybe you were scanning. I don't know. Carl, very good. VE3CZN, welcome to the net. And Harry, VE3HYS, very good. Okay, the question of the evening, as such, I didn't really have anything planned per se, but I said to myself, what the heck, we had a fabulous weekend, the first weekend of spring, and basically the question is, did you do anything on the weekend, amateur radio related? And there were a bunch of activities going on that you'd like to tell us about. So we're down to Mike, VE3FFK. Mike, do you have anything you'd like to let us know about? Go ahead now.
VE3FFK. Well, I guess you'd call it radio related. After the Podnet net, I went for a bit of a walk, went down to the Arboretum to kind of check it out and see if it's ready for portable operations yet. And as yet, it's still pretty wet, snowy and muddy, and not quite ready to throw wires into the trees just yet. By the way, anytime you want to set up a skid to do some CW practice, pretty much anywhere in the spectrum, we can do that, and you have a chance to practice and get some back and forth without having a crowd of people listening to you, which I know can sometimes be a bit nerve-wracking. What I find happens sometimes with people relatively new at the game is they copy 4 or 5 letters in a row and they go, I'm getting it, and in their excitement they kind of forget they need to keep copying. So that may be why you're only able to concentrate, as you say, for 30 seconds at a time. Coming up this coming weekend will be the CQ WPX contest on phone, so I won't be playing in that. But I've discovered that my HF WinLink access is no more, so I'm going to see what I can do about upgrading to some more recent software. It might or may not be possible. So that'll be my activity for the coming weekend, I expect. We'll see how that all goes. I guess that's about it for now. So good, Ned. You seem to have a pretty good crew on board here. VE3BIT, VE3FFK.
VE3FFK, VE3BIT. Okay, thank you very much for that. I am surprised. Was this a scheduled means of HF WinLink? I'm guessing that VHF or possibly UHF WinLink is still going strong. Just think of what do areas groups use if they don't use WinLink? Go ahead, Mike.
Well, VHF WinLink is still up and running, but I gather that there's this new thing called VARA, Victor Alpha, Romeo Alpha. It's some sort of new-to-me HF digital protocol for getting messages into the system. And I had never heard about it until this week, and coincidentally I found out this week that the system I had been using on HF is no longer operational, so it kind of forces me to see what I can do about that.
Okay, Mike. Well, I'll keep my ears open and ears and eyes open and see if I see anything on the web regarding VERA and in the base of HF WinLink. I'll see what I can do about letting you know. Okay, sorry about hearing about that, but I guess, change is inevitable, that's for sure. Okay, Alan, VA3IAH, do you have anything you'd like to let us know about what you've been doing for the last week, I guess?
VE3BIT, Arthur and the group, pleased to be listening along. Great to hear about your experiences with CW and as well as Mike's as well. And in that theme, on the weekend I actually built a kit, the more Sereno 32 that I've been talking about a little bit. So I got that assembled, and about 47 pieces, and the biggest thing I've built so far anyway, other than the hotspot. So I guess that's a step in the right direction, and it seems to work even. So that'll be the preoccupation in using that as a training tool. So I'm looking forward to delving into that after doing a little more testing on some of the boards that's in it. But otherwise, listening along, and pleased to hear such a great net with lots of folks. So back to you, Arthur, and the group.
No problem, Alan. I'm just curious. You mentioned you just put together the kit. I'm assuming was it a CW kit? Over.
Yeah, Arthur, it's really it's a trainer actually. So it has some transmit functions both through the internet as well as through something called LoRa, which I guess is sort of a long-term Wi-Fi as well as your Wi-Fi system. And you can hook up your own key or use these two capacitive paddles that come with it. So it's and it runs you through various training methods and random approaches to building skill on either random words, and it has the COP trainer as well. So you go through kind of the standard methods. So there's a number of different things to play with. I'll probably be delving into the actual usage of it now that I've got the thing assembled. Anyway, back to you, Arthur.
Okay, very good. What strikes, just popped in my head. We don't have any bulletins per se, but our next meeting, the next OERC meeting, is in April. Is the homebrew. You might want to present your accomplished kits to the assembled multitude for homebrew if you're interested. Perhaps Greg or Dave, when their turn in a few turns from now, they'll come back and give us some more information about homebrew and the eligibility requirements for it. But I would say that sounds likely that you could make a presentation on that. Very good. Down to Brian, VE2CRA, who has had extensive experience with homebrew stuff. Were you involved? Were you down in the basement working on one thing or another with your machine shop, or did you take advantage of the warm weather and get outside? Go ahead, Brian.
Evening, Arthur. Evening, everyone on net. I was outside. I enjoyed the nice sunshine and a little tightening up of the face, and did a little yard work. So amateur radio got pretty much ignored, except when Wayne called to find out if the Fox was on the air or not. Suddenly I knew where the Fox was, VE3ZRK.
Oh, yeah. Okay, that's one way of finding out for sure. Okay, thanks, Brian. And down to Greg, VE3YTZ. What have you been up to for the last week or so? Greg, go ahead. VE3YTZ, you still around, Greg? Sounds like Greg got hungry and had to take off for dinner. Okay, Dave, V3BOW. I apologize, Dave. You did say you're portable, and it didn't really clue in at all. I should have called you in first. Nevertheless, you're there. Hopefully, you're there. V3BOW. Dave, do you have any comments for us?
Well, I've been trying to see if I could listen to two nets at once. I'm listening to the Northern Ontario D-Star net in one ear, and to you guys in the other, going back and forth a little bit. It's like copying CW. It's really, you got to stay focused. So, three things come to mind. Norm, from a fellow easily distracted guy, if you've got ADD, then you've got the best finds, because you seem to achieve an awful lot, as well as being really busy. This weekend, a bunch of house stuff. Marnie rebuilt the couch and cut a big foam thing apart and restuffed it to the cases and stuff. She just does things like that, throwing Dacron on and all kinds of stuff that I have no skill at all in. And so I took my two screwdriver antennas and two mounts that I built with the shunt inductors and sat in the car and used, my very useful.
Dave, VE3BOW, VE3BIT, I thought there were 3 items you were going to mention there, but I only heard 2. Or maybe there were 3 and I lost track due to a lack of concentration. Anyways, if there was, I was going to ask you, Dave, if you had any comments about Alan VA3IAH's trainer CW kit. Is that suitable for homebrew night? Okay, maybe I missed something, but I seem to have lost Dave. Dave, are you still around? I guess not. Maybe his battery died. Who knows? Okay, now to Carl, VE3CZN. Do you have anything you'd like to pass on to the group regarding activities for the last several days?
Yeah, good evening, Arthur and all on frequency. Just sort of playing around with the new toy here. I just purchased a 705 and been trying to figure out all the buttons, and that's a job into itself. And right now, as we're listening to the net here, I'm wiring up another straight key here so I can have that dedicated for this little rig. So, lots of soldering and that kind of stuff in the basement, but did get out for some nice long walks and enjoying the sun that way. The next now is once the backyard is not as soggy, I'm going to work on some antenna work there and get some wires up in the air. Some more wire up there, I should say. Anyway, other than that, just enjoying the nice weather here, and this is the second contact with this radio on VHF anyway, and just got it out of the box here, so working on that. So hopefully it's sounding okay, and I haven't messed up all the settings here yet. And before I get on to HF, that's all I have from VE3CZN. VE3CZN, VA3BIT. Well, congratulations on the purchase of the 705. As you may be aware, I have one as well. And I think amongst the two of us, I think there's at least 2 or 3 more that I know of in town. So we're starting to build up a decent collection of 705s in Ottawa. That's great. I was using my 705. Let's see, it was the second time I used it on I think it was the second time. Yeah, the second or third time I used it on the pothole net on Sunday. And as usual, it was doing a dandy job with my, although I can't, the 705 does great, but the antenna itself is really good. It's the Soda Beams link dipole for 80 meters, and every time I've used it, I've come in, whether I'm using it in Ottawa, I'm using it in Prince Edward Island, it does gangbusters. It's really, really good. And for the first time, I used it for CW on the pod net, and my skills leave something to be desired, but the ICOM 705 did wonderfully, as did the antenna. So good luck. I look forward to hearing you on the air, particularly on Sunday, with the local nets. If you have an antenna capable of doing so, I'd love to hear you on the pothole and the podlet nets on Sunday. And otherwise, maybe, who knows, you never know. If we happen to be working the same contest or whatever, we might get a contact between the two of us using, ground wave if we're close enough together. It is only 5 watts or 10 watts if you plug in an external battery, which I've been doing. Yes, so just a moment. So I think it's clear that I really enjoy my 705, but it's not without its faults. And the main fault that I've noticed and I noticed again when I was bicycling to Sir John Carling's site on Sunday, was that the microphone, as it comes configured, needs work. And when I say that, I really mean that the buttons need work. Frankly, I think the microphone needs to be redesigned. There should be a physical lock switch on the microphone so that when you press buttons on it, nothing happens. So initially when I rode to the park,
I ended up inadvertently pressing buttons because the buttons are located such that it's difficult to operate the clip on the back of the microphone without pressing any of the buttons. So I ended up pressing the buttons. I hear a beep and I think, oh heck, what did I do? And so I get to the park and I one of the things I did after the net, I had a number of things I wanted to do, and one of them is get into the manual. I have one of these mini manuals. I buy them now for every radio I get, rather than trying to cart around the ICOM manual, the Nifty manual. That's what it is. So I have a Nifty manual for the ICOM 705, and I looked in there, and I couldn't find anything on microphone. So I fooled around, and eventually in the settings there is something in there. So I set up the buttons to basically two of the buttons, the up and down, are now volume buttons. The A button doesn't do anything. You can do that on the radio. You can't lock it out, but you can make it do nothing. And the B button is set up for what do they call? Basically the reverse button. That's not what it says on the radio, but that's what it does. It monitors the reverse side. So when I rode home, although I did continue hearing beep beep beep, at least it wasn't doing anything. It wasn't screwing up the radio as I was riding. So, but I certainly would like to see ICOM redesign the microphone. Anyways, so down to, who are we down to? We're down to the last on the list, VE3HYS, Harry. Harry, have any comments for us? This is VE3BIT.
Good evening, Arthur and everyone. Let's say, as far as homebrew goes, if you built it, regardless of whether you started with a bag of parts and all you had to do was put them in and solder them nicely, or you designed it from scratch, why not present it? The People's Choice will decide who the winner is. Everybody that submits a project will get I believe it's a power pole distribution kit, Arthur, that Dave said he was going to hand out to everyone that presented?
Yeah, that's correct. I'd forgotten about that aspect. Yes, we have a bunch of surplus power pole distribution kits that were designed by Wayne VE3CZO. I believe they're still in kit form, and we want to get rid of them.
The time is 9 p.m.
They're great kits. So
VE2CRA utilizes a CTCSS tone of 100 hertz.
The club has them, and we'd like to pass them out to suitable recipients, and I'm sure that Alan, you would be a suitable recipient. You just have to check in and present your home brew. That's all. Anything further, Harry? Go ahead.
Yeah. So my advice to Alan and everyone else, take a couple of pictures so that you can display them as a screenshot. It'll be far better as a screen share. I think the folks that forget to make the speaker the prime view screen, they won't be able to see it as well. So if you have a couple of pictures ready to talk about your project, then everyone will be able to see it. We'll have a Zoom poll going, and everyone can vote for their. So that's point number one. And number two, I hope everyone has a talk. Foolish me, as a scout leader, you'd think I would be prepared. However, when I went over to Wayne's to take the gear over, I forgot to take a radio with me that wasn't staying. And after we hooked it up and turned on a radio at Wayne's place and heard it, I assumed all was well. And when I got back to my place, I assumed it was just because of all the rock between me and Wayne that I couldn't hear it. So, but that said, Stefan, Victor Alpha 3, Papa Sierra Victor, with the challenge of 3 kids in the car with him, did manage to triangulate quite nicely. And when it was a really low power signal, he lucked out. happened to, I guess, drive up the right road and hear it, some bearings, and then he went back the next day. The Asus 70 handheld apparently has a 10 dB pad, so he put that in, and as he got closer, he shifted it off frequency and took the antenna off, and that was how he got pretty close to Wayne's house. He actually said a number 18 was his guess, but still pretty darn good. And so you don't necessarily need a lot of sophisticated equipment. It might help, but it's not a requirement. And there will be another one, I guess probably the same weekend, the weekend after the OBMRC general meeting in April. And we've already found a place for it, but we're always looking for anyone who wants to volunteer to, shall we say, test their antenna system. We're happy to look to have you be our host. So anyone interested, please get in touch with myself or with Roger, VE2CRA, so that we can fire it up. We've got plans. Hopefully at some point we'll be allowed to walk around at the parks again without causing great grief to everybody. And at that point, we'll, have some low-power ones as well. But at the moment, we're kind of stuck in the high VE3, VE2CRA, VE3HYS.
VE3HYS, VE3BIT. Well, that sounds great. Harry. So far, let's see, I'm trying to think. So I wasn't able to take part in the one last month because I was in PEI. But I keep thinking that I think they've all been more or less central. Even the one at Wayne's place is central in the sense that it was pretty far south, but central between Canada and Orleans. And given that a lot of members are from I should say a lot of members of the OERC, because we're from all over the place, but a lot of members of the OVMRC are from Orleans. And I suspect they don't take part because the Fox has generally been located some distance from their homes. Maybe we need to have one out east somewhere. Anyways, I look forward to next month to hone my skills and see if I can see if things work out better. There's definitely something wrong with my way I'm doing things. So hopefully next month I can figure it out and get closer to the Fox. And we'll see. I look forward to it. Anyways, so thank you very much, Harry. And I'm going to give another call out for Greg, VE3YTZ. Have you come back to the microphone yet? Okay, nothing heard from Greg. How about Dave, VE3BOW? Are you around? Nothing heard. Any further check-ins? Any final check-ins actually for this evening's Capital City FM Net? Please come now. Okay, nothing heard. Any comments or questions from anyone regarding anything anyone else has said in the this evening's net? Please come now.
As an FYI, Arthur, the Cactus 1549 flight landed in the Hudson the middle of January. I know it was January. I don't know what date it was. So, the geese had at least moved that far south. I thought it was rather ironic that they needed to do a DNA test so they could blame it on Canada geese.
Those geese are misnamed. They're all over the place, and so it's hard to say. I know the Americans are just as upset with the numbers of Canada geese as we are, if not more so. And I know that they're all over the place, and I know that quite a few geese do stick around for the winter. So the ones that got caught in Sullivan's engines, I should say, may very well have been native New Yorkers who never planned to leave. so it's a good question, but it actually is a good question. I'm going to look that up because I am kind of curious to know how far Canada geese migrate when they do migrate. Good question there, Sydney. Okay, well, I didn't hear anybody else, so I guess that's it for this evening's net. Thank you everyone for participating. Next week's moderator, net control station is Jeffrey. Jeffrey. Oh, I forget Jeffrey's call. Anyway, Jeffrey will be your host for next week. Thank you again, everyone. I hope everyone has a great night, a great week. Enjoy the warm weather while we have it. And that's it. 73 all. This is Arthur, VA3BIT, signing off and returning the repeater to normal use. I got it. VA3PEW, Jeffrey. VA3PEW will be your net control station for next week. 73 guys, have a good evening. VA3BIT clear.